Good afternoon, this is Rob McDonald with NorCalB.com, and I'm here with Sean Merritt, and we are heavily armed right now. We have all kinds of statistics and polls and studies indicating that cannabis is one of the best things for health there is.
And let's just clarify that we're heavily armed with knowledge. We're not heavily armed with AR-15s or anything crazy like that. Although I do have a stun cane. So, yes, we are armed, indeed.
Heavily armed. So the person that our County Board of Supervisors in the City of Redding and City of Anderson rely on to give them advice about health is one of 24% of doctors that still have a problem with marijuana. The other 76%, according to the New England Journal of Medicine, they studied a lot of states, provinces, everywhere. Medical doctors, 76% of them want medical marijuana to prescribe to their patients. But Andrew Deckert? Yeah, Andrew Deckert.
If that's his name.
Yeah. He received 12 studies from me when I went to the Shasta County Health Advisory Board meeting. And those 12 studies indicated that cannabis kills cancer cells. There's over 100 studies along those lines. These were peer-reviewed too. It helps lupus, it helps MS, helps brain injuries and concussion. Helps. Okay?
And the way that is it acts like a neuroprotectant. That's why they say it's good for people who, or it could stop or prevent the onset of Alzheimer's because it acts as a neuroprotectant.
And Alzheimer's has actually been now proven to be a cannabinoid deficiency. And when they start getting cannabinoids, they come out of it.
Well, then let's see why they have a cannabinoid deficiency. Well, our body naturally makes cannabinoids through our endocrine system. So our endocrine system supports our immune system. That's what creates cannabinoids. So it's a naturally occurring substance that we have in our bodies. It's not something foreign.
So the reason that marijuana cures and prevents is that it really doesn't. The human body does if it has all of the building blocks that it needs to do its job. And guess what? 81 years now, I counted it up the other day. 81 years that this substance has been denied the human race everywhere they can, and they're still trying to deny it.
Let's take a look why. And I mean, the main reason why is back when Anslinger started his whole controlled substances thing and put marijuana scheduled, number one during the whole reefer madness craze. They associated it with minorities. They associated it as a big public menace, and it whipped the public up into a frenzy. And then, of course, their movie, Reefer Madness, scared the public even more who really didn't know much about it. So it got them all ripped up, all excited. Oh, we got to ban this. We got to do it. They're going to have minorities coming in left and right. They're all going to be smoking weed. And my kids, think of the kids, my God. And then madness occurred, reefer madness to be exact. And in our county, specifically Shasta County, we've got to look at some of the effects of that. I mean, if you look back to 2010, or 2009, even before then, when the local counties here and the Board of Supervisors and the City of Redding decided that they were going to go against Prop 215, go against SB 420, and outlaw dispensaries and try to limit garden sizes and everything like that, we started noticing an uptick of other substances that people were coming to the hospital to get treatment for. Those substances being what would be easier to get now, since it's a lot harder to get medical marijuana. And if you're in pain, you don't want to pay that money to go to a doctor. You don't have the money to fill up the script, so what are you going to go to that's cheap, effective, and works just like prescription drugs to take care of your pain? The answer, heroin. Heroin has been on a huge, huge climb And it's not just here. There's a heroin epidemic happening all over this nation. And there is one reason why. Cartels in Mexico said, well, they're all coming around on marijuana. We need another drug. We need something else to keep our profits going. That was heroin. Now then, when you have counties and places where it's supposedly legal that are going to go and outlaw that, marijuana's harder to get, but what's still coming in here by the loads? What can we still get? Heroin, meth. So, when you outlaw a substance that works, that doesn't destroy your body, doesn't destroy your mind, doesn't destroy your health, is actually beneficial to you, when you put more focus on keeping that just as outlawed as you can, people are going to still go well, they're watching marijuana. They're not looking out for meth and heroin. Let me go get that. Or, oh, let me go get some prescription pills. You know, oh, you got some to sell? Awesome. Yeah, who cares? These are socially acceptable, right? Who cares if prescription pills are a gateway to people using heroin? That's been proven, too. And if you want to throw that chart up there, how that's been a gateway to heroin.
Well, yeah, and, you know, there's a lot of statistics, a lot of charts, a lot of study. It's been going on and on and on since Nixon. Now, going back to Henry Anslinger, they actually respected the Constitution back then. They didn't respect the people, they didn't respect the people's rights under it, but they respected the Constitution. And so they did a workaround. It was called the Tax Stamp Act. They were going to print these stamps and then you'd be able to grow marijuana. They didn't print any. They got sued into printing them. That was their attempt at prohibition. Then in 1969, when Nixon took over as President of the United States of America, he started a war against marijuana. What he also did was hid studies that said marijuana killed cancer cells. We know that because of a Freedom of Information Act release of documents about, what was it, 6-7 years ago?
I believe so.
And it's just ridiculous to think that our president would both lie to us and deny us something that our bodies need. Well, this has the possibility of life extension, too. Recent studies have shown that DNA repair actually happens with raw cannabis. So we're talking about, what are we talking about, Sean? What would have DNA repair that's in the backlog of knowledge from ancient times?
Tell us, Rob.
What would have DNA repair? What would make people live like 800, 900 years or more? Oh yeah, the tree of life.
All right, you're getting all biblical on me now.
I know, but the biblical is history,
as an
though.
atheist, I don't.
But the biblical is still history, right?
So we'll just listen to Rob.
The biblical is still history. So we have this legend of the tree of life, and there were 12 fruits on the tree of life. Now, I think what it's meant is that they had a combination, and just as we see today people taking a piece of a plant and grafting it with another plant and creating new plants, if they had a plant with 12 things, they could also take and graft single plants out of it and split it up. And possibly hide it all over the world and say you don't get to live forever until you figure out the key.
Or it could be something like this. And Henry Wallace, former vice president, who really, if he would have been president instead of Truman, would have saved this country a load of pain, was quoted as saying this: "We must not tolerate oppressive government or industrial oligarchy in the form of monopolies and cartels." And that is exactly what we're tolerating now. We're tolerating big pharmaceutical drug companies that come out and tell you, or tell politicians, yeah, keep this illegal because we don't know how to make a profit on it yet. You know, so keep this illegal and keep pumping these drugs, keep pushing these drugs we're making. Yeah, more profits for us, more money for you to get skinned with. Yeah, good.
And die for.
And then when you have the cartels, that's exactly who's pushing all these illegal drugs, the harmful ones, the heroin, the meth. It's who's pushing it all into our country. It's all coming from, well,
Afghanistan? Oh yeah. Who went and invaded there?
And there's another point. In Afghanistan, this is not for any praise on the Taliban at all, because they're the Taliban. So there's no praise for them. But before we invaded, Afghanistan wasn't very highly ranked on the list of nations that produced poppy and opium.
They used to be.
When we came back in, they are now number 6 in the world of producers of opium and poppy, and there's been numerous articles where our soldiers have come forward and said that they were over there guarding fucking poppy fields. So, why are they guarding these poppy fields? Well, that gets all back to the monopolies and the organizations that either get it in here streetwise or they get it in there to make their pills with and their pharmaceuticals. And it's just, if you trace one thing and go back and trace the money, you'll find out where it all comes from, where it all goes.
All right, so what it comes down to is, and I think we can wrap it up. I think we've presented it. Or do you feel like there's more? Because
I will say one more quote from Henry Wallace, and that is, the final objective toward which all their deceit is directed is to capture political power so that, using the power of the state and the power of the market simultaneously, they may keep the common man in eternal subjugation. And he was right, as a man before his time. And if he was elected, he'd have been the most radical president ever. But look, he told the truth. That is why he would have been radical, because he told the truth. And in times where you tell the truth against these cartels, these oligarchies, these empowered...
You get assassinated like Kennedy did right after
he... get taken out.
Yeah, right after he revealed that there was a conspiracy to enslave every human. Well, we've seen that happen. And it was called the Reagan Revolution of lowering wages to poverty level, and the... very few people now hold most of the wealth in the world. This is literally a war in the United States of America between the citizens of the United States of America and the corporations for who runs the country. The Constitution says the people do, but they're not going to stop. And so we have to figure out ways to stop them, because we the people.
They claim to be super patriots, but they would destroy every liberty guaranteed by the Constitution. They demand free enterprise, but they are spokesmen for monopoly and vested interest. Their final objective toward which all their deceit is directed is to capture political power, using the power to state and the power to market simultaneously, that they may keep the common man in eternal subjugation.
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
No, it's time we end it.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. You all have rights under it, and you have Second Amendment authority to defend those rights.
Learn them. Exercise them. It's only through our apathy to defend our liberty that they are able to get away with taking it.
Good idea. Read it over and over. Don't let people tell you what it says. Our forefathers wrote it for you. You don't need someone telling you what it says that benefits them and screws you. Well, like the guys up in Oregon that are basically committing a crime, losing their gun rights, losing their freedom, because somebody told them stuff that wasn't true. It's unreal. Anyway, signing off for NorCalB.com, and what's your YouTube?
YouTube, The Laughing Man. I'm starting to do a political series on American visionaries, what would have happened if these men had been elected or stayed in power, and also do a lot of recovery videos for those who have problems with addiction, alcohol, heroin, coke. So check it out, Laughing Man YouTube. Good stuff there.
And you brought something up that reminded me of something. I saw one of our illustrious diversion program people that have been against marijuana from the start and in our politicians' ears from the start at a function about 2 years ago. And I walked up to her and I said, they just came out with a study that shows that cannabis is the best thing for getting people off of opiates.
It is, and I can attest to that as a fact.
And she went, I wouldn't. And I said, I know you wouldn't. That's why you should lose the contract for the county and the city, because you're...
We have people like that who have that old way of thinking that cannabis isn't a medicine, that it's bad, that you need 12 steps and you need to create a higher power in order to get sobriety.
This
It's
is
all
necessary for the human body. It is. And science has now proven that we don't need to back down to these people anymore. They're the crazy ones, and now we have statistics that prove people have died as a result of their paranoia and their ignorance, so now they're the criminals. Signing off for NorCalBeat.com, this is Rob McDonald. Have an awesome day.
Laughing Man out.